Hey everyone, welcome to week 7. It's hard to believe, but the semester is almost finished. So let us get through these next 2 weeks and we will have it done. I know most of you are environmental science majors, so this week should be very exciting for you. It's all about ecosystems and ecology. Plus you have your final projects due, and those should be of interest to each and every one of you. So let's get started with the announcements. Quick review of last week was all about sexual reproduction and the importance of it, and how sexual reproduction allows the mixing of genes, and so that gives you a lot of diversity in your population, and diversity on a physical basis, but also on a biochemical basis and immune system basis. And so the whole point of sexual reproduction is to have at least a few members of your population that can survive no matter what the particular challenge or stressor is. If you think about something even like the Ebola outbreaks that have been happening, even as we speak, there's one in the Congo, and how deadly the Ebola disease is, Ebola hemorrhagic fever. Sometimes there's a 90% mortality rate, which means that 90% of people infected die. That still tells you that 10% of the population has some sort of protection against that virus. Some part of their genetic makeup allows them to survive once they're infected. So that really is the whole point of sexual reproduction, to mix up your genes to allow for survival. And we talked about heredity and how both of these ideas feed into biodiversity. And if you don't have a diversity of genes, your population is probably going to die out. And that's what we see with some populations, especially endangered populations around the world today. Okay, for this week, you need to read chapter 44, which is all about ecology, the study of abiotic and biotic factors that allow organisms to live in their surroundings. 46 is about different ecosystems, and that's very interesting. We all live in different ecosystems around the world, so that's pretty cool. So you'll learn about ecology and ecosystems. And like I said, since a lot of you are environmental scientists, you probably studied some of this before, but it's terribly, terribly important for all of us to understand how our environment functions to help shape us and other species that live with us, and how we all need to live in harmony with our environment. Be sure and read the Module 7 overview and watch the video. I also have another link to the latest red tide that is happening in Florida and has been happening for several months. You'll hear it every once in a while in the national news because, for example, a couple of weeks ago, 23 dolphins were found dead on the beach in Florida. So, of course, that always makes big news. But I wanted to share this with you because this video also tells you about how these algal blooms affect organisms. It's not just that they cut off the oxygen in the water systems, but that does happen. But there are other very deadly effects. There are many extremely toxic toxins and poisons that these algal blooms produce. So I want you to hear that part of the video. It's short. It's on YouTube. And I'll post this slide as a PDF so that you can get to the YouTube video itself if you want to just click on it. The discussion board postings this week are all about eutrophication, and that is buildup of nutrients in bodies of water like lakes and ponds. And I don't know if you know this, but freshwater bodies of water especially have very limited lifespans. Now, of course, it's hundreds or thousands of years, but in the long term, that's a very short lifespan. So eutrophication is the building up of wastes and sediment in bodies of water until finally you don't have the body of water anymore. How the phosphorus cycle changes the health of water systems, how wastes are important. We produce wastes all the time. We dump wastes into water supplies, especially through fertilizers and runoff, and the energy and nutrient flow through ecosystems. So that's your discussion board postings. Read through those guidelines so that you know what to post this week. And your final project is due. These will all be slides. For example, PowerPoint slides. You don't have to use PowerPoint, but something like PowerPoint, and you've all seen that before. I want to give you some hints about this. So this final project will include all of your milestones, 1, 2, and 3, that you've done so far and have been graded. So you know if you need to beef up any of these areas, if you need to give more information, if you need to have more citations, please don't forget those. But I wanted to give you a few hints about this final project. The basics need to be on the slides themselves, but you can't put too much verbiage. If you do, the slides are unreadable. So put the basics on the slides. Put the details that go along with the basics in the speaker's notes. Please try not to just copy and paste from the milestones. You may need to edit those. You may have too much information. You may not have had enough information. So edit, edit, edit. And organization is terribly important. Tell me which section you're talking about. Don't just write these out like you're doing an English essay. This is not what it's supposed to look like. I'm supposed to be able to find all the information. So make sure everything is organized. Introduction should say introduction. Okay? So ethical perspectives, it should say ethical perspectives on the slide. So organization is terribly important. And appearance of the slides. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. I said that if you put all the information on the slide, it will be unreadable. And so that's a terrible presentation. You have seen those before. You've had instructors that had PowerPoint slides that had so much stuff on them that you couldn't even read the font. So please don't do that with these presentations. So the appearance, have a decent sized font. Don't have any curlicues or anything like that. Just nice and straightforward. I'm a scientist. I like things nice and straightforward and organized. No frilly stuff. That being said, graphics are wonderful. Pictures, include pictures. Include graphs. Include data. Include, I don't know about videos because you really don't need those. But, you know, include some things that are pertinent that help get your point across with a picture or a graphic, say of the level of CO2 that's been building in the atmosphere over the last 50 years, something like that. So be sure and add those. And last of all, have some fun with this because this is a project that you are interested in. That's why you chose this topic. And as always, if you have any questions this week, please email me because I am here for you. There's my email address. I answer emails as fast as I possibly can. So if you have any problems, if you're running into any issues, be sure and let me know this week because this is a really, really important week with that final project due. If you want me to look at your final project, say the first few slides, and you want my advice on the slides, I will be glad to do that. Very happy to do that. So just let me know if you need any help. I am here for you. And have a great week.